This is more of like a. It's ultimately up to you guys, like if you want to do it or not. But, we have these warrant appeal. Did you guys hear anything back on Bailey's letter?
No, I've pressed 4 different judges, one of which is now a justice. So all of them have been, every single time I've spoken to them.
Yeah.
Which has been on 6 different occasions from what I'm told. And then additional occasions they've poked at him and essentially asked for thing. I had a meeting with Turner and he wants to respond. So I believe I can confirm based on word of mouth from those specific judges and justices that they've been
Tesla's up 10%. What the fuck?
It's been, I believe, 15 days now.
Jesus
the letter was submitted.
Christ. Yeah,
14,
they're
15.
So at a high level, right? Like, I recognize you got. I'm just gonna shoot straight. There's a lot of rulings that date back as far as November that is undermining. I wouldn't say undermining, but rather has kind of destabilized due process. Based on the standards of San Andreas. Warrant overturning is a major one. I like the idea. It's just implemented in a very dog shit way. And what I mean by that is there is no inherent legal standard for what the barrier is, right? And so a warrant, and that's a problem. The second is the good faith exception. Both of these things sort of were introduced around the big churn in the judiciary. So when some justices stepped down and new ones came in. And the ramifications of this we've been feeling for the last 6 months, right? My office, just frankly, I don't think we've got time to address it. And my question is this something that y'all need help in addressing if it is becoming more and more problematic for your day-to-day?
Well, as we see on the docket, and like we've spoken in the past, I don't think lawyers would be doing their due diligence if they weren't contesting every single search warrant with the way things have gone lately.
I would agree. Yeah.
So I can't blame them. But do I believe that this should even be considered to some extent? No. Now there needs to be a system in place to review these warrants, but I mean, again, it's why they're being reviewed and what would meet the criteria for it to be overturned should be black and white and not there should be the good faith exception. There should be more behind it. It needs to be spelled out.
Agreed. Like,
that's what
is the bar?
Spoken to about it is. And that's what part of that letter is. What is the expectations? Where are we at? And how are we going to move forward? I think if any department, such as the LSPD or any government branch, has an issue with another one, they should be able to ask them the questions and get something in writing. And if we made a mistake, it should be owned up. And it should be, you should have a plan put forth, essentially, how to correct it or defend themselves. Either or. But there should be something that's put in writing. I'm hoping that's why I get out of this letter. We get some sort of expectations. Now, in terms of legislation, I think it would be helpful to have something in place. Not just helpful, it needs to be in place. Now, the route to go about that, I would imagine
the audit process.
Response. The audit process. You're talking about the one that's currently going, or?
No, like so PD has the ability, if necessary, to audit existing legislation if there is a belief that what is currently in writing goes against the principles of the Constitution. And the alternative is proposing. PD is always going to be in a weird spot, right? Where y'all are not just law enforcement, but you're effectively the district attorney, right? But you're not sort of attorneys for the county, you're attorneys for yourself. It's a very
Right.
strange predicament, and it's one that I recognize. And as you know, these conversations sort of spin up. I know, given the limited bandwidth my team has, and I say that loosely, right? Like last night, like fucking me and Michael spent God knows how many hours working on some shit. We just don't have the additional bandwidth to take on these problems because it's a lot of work, right? Putting together an argument, getting the perspective from y'all, etc. It's just, I recognize I probably will not have that bandwidth, at least in the foreseeable future. And what I would love to see is similar to how there's like a TRT and a pursuit team, and I assume you guys have kind of some semblance of a detective unit, and this isn't like an expectation, but rather I think it would behoove you guys to have some set of individuals that start to try to push back either through audits or through changing legislation yourselves and giving it to me and working, being like the primary authors and us trying to help massage things and putting it forward on y'all's behalf. You know what I mean? And
so I want to make sure I understand this, properly in terms of the PD's abilities here. Where in legislation does it say that we have the ability to contest these? Is this anything beyond? You're saying the PD. Is it anything different than, say, a citizen?
it's the same. Yeah. Same level.
Okay. All right.
Literally any citizen. And I think this is one of the biggest, like, this is like an education problem around all of San Andreas. We don't have a good way to be like, I know it, governor knows it, princess knows it, and it feels like no one else does, because there is no, like, you have to like know where to look kind of thing, right? But every citizen is empowered to audit whatever. Any citizen is empowered to give my office or princess's office legislation and be like, please sponsor this, right? Those tools exist. The problem is, I think a lot of people don't recognize how much power they have in their hands, right? I would love to see the PD empower themselves and help us help you, right? Because I do see, like, the docket case this morning with Remedy Creed. I saw that, and I know it sucks for you guys. I know it's dumb as shit, because a judge signed a warrant. It might get overturned like some of the other ones, but why is it on you guys and not the judge? The judge is putting the signature. They're not going to feel any pain. That judge signed it. What's going to happen? They get a little slap on the wrist. Y'all just lost dozens of hours of effort. And whoever worked on it might potentially not give a fuck anymore. You know what I mean? So I want to try to work with you to find a solution to empower you guys to push back against this.
Absolutely.
Let
me get with Bailey. I mean, there's a couple of people that come to mind. It obviously takes a very specific person, mindset, and skill set to go after these. Bailey's definitely obviously have that. See if I get a few people that can work with him. Maybe we get some things going here.
You know what would be a great starting point?
What's that?
Because I already want to rework the search and seizure legislation where I think a lot of this stuff lives. Because I have my own interests in it. The number one being, it's a fucking disastrously. The history. If we could pull up search and seizure real quick.
Yep, I have it up.
This is one of the most poorly written documents that we have in legislation. It's not sectioned. There's one paragraph that will say one thing and then something else it's not coherent.
It's like talking notes.
Yes.
That leads my next question here. Oh, actually, go ahead. Sorry.
I want to rework this in this month. We're going to be pushing a lot of legislation this month. Criminal codes being at the top of the list, getting robberies in, criminal code for things against people, right? The effort to turn this 80 pieces of legislation down to like 40, right? Big concerted effort by my staff to do so, because I think this is fucking trash, right? There's just way too much shit here, and we want to start hyper condensing. This isn't reasonable, right? DNA legislation, search and seizure. Some of these things can literally 5 documents should be 1. Like DNA, I don't know. I don't know. We're working on that effort, but running it back to search and seizure. At the most base level, I want to see this reorganized so that it's sectioned, right?
Right.
Some of these areas that are confusing, like what the fuck is a night raid? Right? Like that's unclear in this document. I want to get clarity in there. I think what would be fantastic is whatever this working group is, take a copy of this document, put it into Word, and start putting your notes in it. Highlight it, say this sucks. We need this, expand on it, right? So that when we as a working group on this search and seizure legislation, as an example, look at it whenever we're free, we can see everyone's thoughts and we can kind of try to pull everything together. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. So that's what I had in mind as well. Search and seizure legislation is something you want to rework, but that's exactly where what we want to adjust would go. So would we work hand in hand there?
Yeah.
To get that done specifically on this at least subject?
Absolutely. Like I would take like y'all copy and paste this, put it in a Word doc, start highlighting specific areas that are bad, put in comments on what needs to be addressed or what needs to be clarified, and subsequently the effort that I do within on our end, like we can be that other end of the spectrum, right? Like you guys push for what you need, I can push from the perspective of like, you know, people's rights and shit, and let's just combine those efforts and put forward a much better document. And I think we're going to be probably pretty aligned on this. I don't think we're, from most of our conversation around this, I think we're pretty aligned. Like,
it's just we want things spelled out, really, is what it is. And then we need a couple extra parts for when it comes to search warrant contesting.
I agree. And if there's any like major,
we go back and forth on, right?
Absolutely. And if there's like major contestation points, we can have those back and forths in the document if needed. But if it's like, yo, we need a meeting, we'll just fucking link up on it and debate that shit. And, you know, wherever it lands, it lands.
Sounds good. Did you want to get that document going? Or do you want me to get it going?
No, y'all
it's gonna be joint.
Yeah, y'all start doing it, because if I do it, I'm gonna get distracted. We got so much.
You want
to
put it within your cabinet as well, right?
Yeah, just put it in a Word doc and give me a like a comment link or something.
Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I will get that done right now. I'll get that sent over to you in about 10 minutes.
Easy.
As soon as we're done with this conversation. So
awesome. All right.
And I'm gonna speak with Bailey, and see if he's willing to. I know he doesn't want to go he doesn't want to take things to court. He doesn't want to fight in court for anything in terms of a sort of DA or a lawyer. He'll just advise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna see if he's willing to help me out with this here, because I think obviously he'd be the best for it. And then I'll have to grab a couple people to try to get this going. I think something like this would be good.
I strongly advise that you should start thinking about building up separate, maybe from a detective unit, people who's like, this is a big part of their role, like full-blown understanding legislation, how it applies, being that interface where if you guys are having issues, you go to that unit, just like you go to Pursuit when you have problems with the cars, or TRT when you need, and that they can interface with us. Like, we need that system in place, because this is going to be ever evolving. You know what I mean?
I wonder if there's anybody else like Bailey out there that we could hire to be part of the LSPD.
I think
like that
is a there are, I think, as a part of your hiring process, you should be looking for people that are interested in law stuff. Right. I think otherwise you're going to be spinning your wheels looking for people that are used to be great in their prime, but are absolutely uninterested. Like they're burnt out, right?
Right. People who are motivated to do something like this.
Precisely.
Gotta find people like that.
LSPD is looking to hire legal minds. Want to become like a legal head, a cop focused on legal shit, working on legislation. Come work for the LSPD and hire those motherfuckers. You know what I mean? If they got their mind right. I gave Maxwell an example because I was chatting to her about it a little bit because I'm like individuals, the department, like when you have these legislative issues, you have an avenue, including proposing something my way. And she said something like, people don't want to do, they want to, you know, chase pings and shit, which I don't disagree with it, but
everyone has their forte though.
Everyone has their, yes, everyone has their forte. But that's also, I would say that if that's kind of like what's happening, that's a hiring thing, right? And I gave an example. There was a guy that I met here a week and a half ago. Literally, I was just waiting for somebody and bumped into him, said, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. He applied to the PD. Blaine County violated his rights. And in the past week and a half, since applying to LSPD, he's now a lawyer and he's impeaching Hop Out Helen. So there are people, right?
Okay.
Like if I bumped into a guy and the guy's now a lawyer impeaching the deputy, like I think there might be slipping. It's a possibility they may be slipping through the cracks, right? But it might be one of those things.
Who's this guy?
Mason.
Mason. Do you have a full name or?
I don't remember his last name. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I literally just bumped into him, and then it was like 3 days later, he was a hostage at a jewelry store, and Riker and Hop Out Helen like fucking started.
Hang on, Hop Out Helen. What is Hop Out Helen?
It's Hop Out Helen. You know Sergeant Helen. She got the nickname after she mag dumped
Sergeant Helen.
Jay Hobbs and yeah, she's also known as Helen the Felon.
Does she have a legal name?
Yeah, Helen.
Does she have a last name? I don't know Helen. That's why I'm asking.
I don't know. She kind of talks like she got marbles in her mouth.
This is the BCSO sergeant.
Yeah, the one that put a gun in the suspect's mouth, the one that was in ICU and went through her phone.
What?
Yeah, the one that it took the LSPD applicant from a hostage situation, berated him, and then dumped him off at Mosey's and said, get a fucking job. The one that hopped out and shot up Jay Hobbs and some other guy that was GSR negative, didn't even point guns. Or the one that currently has a lawsuit up on the docket, the one that mag dumped Jay Hobbs. She wasn't in the area, just said, oh, shoot him, and ended up shooting Jay Hobbs while he was fleeing, no weapon, away from cops. Yeah, Hop Out Helen. You don't know her?
No, I still don't. I probably know her by her last name. Helen.
I
know at least one of those incidents you're talking about.
I find it so funny. Yeah. She was riding with Riker, actually. You know, the guy that
we're talking about Eleanor Iwater.
Yes. Wait, I thought her name was Helen.
No. That's the only sergeant I see on that. Yeah, I think.
I could have sworn her name was Helen. Maybe Helen is Eleanor. Is Helen short for?
I don't see a Helen that works for the LSPD or the BCSO.
Oh, maybe it is Eleanor. But I think Helen might be like, you know how there's like Richard is Dick? Maybe Eleanor is Helen.
Might be, yeah. It might just be short.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Let me work on this legal team, and we'll see, what we can put together. I'll get that document sent over to you to get to the rest of the cabinet.
Easy. All right.
All right, Nino. I appreciate it.
Yep. Anytime.
You take care.
Felinor. That's a good one. I love when I mag dump his like background.
Hey, Nino.
How you doing?
Doing
fuck.
good.
What was that judge? Fucking Yilong. He wanted to
This
chat
guy?
about.
Oh, hey.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, I just back.
All
I had
right.
to seize the car just now, so I just ran back from the courthouse.